morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at the most expensive Pokemon special art cards, alternate art cards, call them what you will, that are around in the game at the moment. And I know we've done this list before, but we did it a little while ago. I don't think Brilliant Stars was out at the time, and, well, it wasn't. And things change, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. Things change. So shout out to a few of the cards that almost made the list, but not quite. The Arceus V from Brilliant Stars, which I'm putting at about $60. The Mew VIMAX from Fusion Strike that came in at $75. And this one is really interesting to me, because this is one of those cards that when it was released, people went absolutely crazy for it. Mew VIMAX was being sold on eBay at one point, around about when the pre-releases happened. People were legit paying like $300 for this card. It's now worth a quarter of that and doesn't even make the top 10 list. Rayquaza V from Evolving Skies, which I'm putting at $80, and Umbreon V from Evolving Skies, which I'm putting at $80. There's only 2 Vs that actually make the list. The vast majority of these are VMAXs, so to get pretty close is pretty gosh darn good. And I'm going to give you my usual warning with videos like this. I'm trying to give you approximate values rounded to the nearest $5. It is not an exact science. By the time you listen to this, some of the values may well have changed. This is to give you a rough indication of the most valuable cards and a rough indication of value. But it's absolutely possible that Umbreon or Rayquaza, if I did this in a few weeks' time, could have jumped up and taken that number 10 spot. So please do bear all of that in mind. But in at number 10, we've got Glaceon Moltres V from Chilling Reign, which comes in at around about $90. And this is a card that a lot of people like very much indeed. This is one of the ones on this list that I've actually been lucky enough to pull. And here we've basically got that double whammy of redonkulous art and a really, hyper playable card. Now, art-wise, this is not my favourite card, I'm going to be honest with you. Even though I pulled it, there is a very good chance that in the not-too-distant future, I'm going to be trading this away for other alternate arts that I like more. It's complicated, because a lot of the early runs of Chilling Reign had very, very bad centering on all of the secret rares. And that means that to have a good centered one, and mine is actually kind of awkward, because a lot of these ones that are selling are actually very badly centered. That is a genuine known issue with Chilling Reign and the special arts therein. But regardless, it is a beautiful artwork card, and it's got that wonderful, well, it's just a great card. Dire Flame Wings lets you attach a darkness energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon once per turn, and it's once per turn no matter how many Moltres you've got. And then Free Energy 190. It hits a good weakness against Pokemon like Mew, more on that in a moment. And basically, it sees a huge amount of play, and it's got ridiculous artwork. And that's enough, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. That is enough. Coming in at number 9, we've got Sylveon VMAX from Evolving Skies, which I'm putting at about $95. And this is another one that I've been lucky enough to pull, and I am rather delighted. Now, Sylveon has seen a bit of play here and there. It pops up, if you follow PokeStats over on Twitter, and you really should be following PokeStats over on Twitter, you will be seeing this pop up in Top Cut lists occasionally. It's not ruling the format or anything like that. It is just a very good card that sees a bunch of play. It's for free energy, does 70 damage plus 30 more for each different type of Pokemon on your bench. It sees success, it will again in the future. But look at the artwork here. And crucially, there are multiple EVs on this artwork. See if you can count how many EVs are on the artwork. There are many of them. There's at least more than one. My point is, this is not just a good card in terms of artwork, and it's not just a good card in terms of playability. It's also got extra Pokemon on there like Eevee, there's a Vaporeon on there, and that does help to make it a little bit more interesting for some people. In at number 8, we've got Blaziken VMAX from Chilling Reign, which I'm putting in at around about $100 even. Now this one, I am not a huge fan of the artwork. And weirdly, it's not a terribly playable card. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not topped, it has. Again, follow the tournament results. You will see this in the top cut of tournaments. It absolutely is there. But it's not on the level as something like a Galarian Moltres or some of the other cards we're going to see. 2 energy, 130, choose up to 2 of your bench Rapid Strike Pokemon, and attach an energy card from your discard pile to each of them. Very important to note, it says energy card, not basic energy. So yes, you would be able to get a special energy like, I don't know, Rapid Strike energy, which does make it very interesting. I love these kind of cards because if you look, you've got the Inteleon line, you've got Zangoose there. These are other Pokemon which are Rapid Strike Pokemon from the same set, and I very much appreciate the attention to detail. In at number 7, we've got Gengar VMAX, which I'm also putting at $100. I'm sorry about this. I don't like doing this, but essentially I've looked at TCG Player, I've looked at a couple of other sites, I've dug through eBay, and I've tried to give you my best estimation of a rough price. And this is it. What I will tell you is, although I have listed it at the same price as Blaziken, it generally sells a little bit higher, which is why I put it a space higher on the list. And this is a very playable card. And playability, I know we're talking about value here, but playability is very important because cards that are really playable, people are going to want for their decks. And there are a lot of players out there who want the flashiest version of the deck. So a lot of people, if they're playing Gengar VMAX, want the flashiest version. Although, while we're talking Fusion Strike, there is something very important to point out here. And that is that we basically got 3 cards. Mew, Gengar, and 1 coming up in a moment. But it's the biggest set ever. So you end up with an awkward situation where the pull rates are quite low for Fusion Strike, but there's only a few cards that really attract any kind of value, and that does make the Fusion Strike special arts a bit more awkward than the others, because people don't necessarily want to crack packs with that lower chance of getting one of the few cards that's really worth it. But Gengar for 2 energy does 60 for each of your opponent's V and GX in play. 3 energy, 250. Hits a good weakness on stuff like Mew. It's a single strike Pokemon. It's great. And the artwork is phenomenal. Plus it's so-so and a lot of people collect so-so cards. So yeah, this one's earned its place. In at number 6, it's the other one from Fusion Strike. It's ESPEON VMAX, which I'm putting at about $105. And ESPEON VMAX is not that playable. It's not anywhere near something like a Gengar or a Galarian Moltres. The difference is, it's ESPEON. And the evolutions are on a higher tier, quite frankly. They are a little bit above the others. Plus, it's the only evolution that actually came around in Fusion Strike. And it's drawn by Ikuki Saito, who is absolutely phenomenal. An artist has been around for a very long time. Another one that gets collected quite a bit. Frankly, that all comes together to make a very valuable card. For what it's worth, I really like the ability Solar Revelation that prevents all effective attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon that have any energy attached. Stop special conditions, automatic KOs, energy denial, things of that nature. But really here, it is a phenomenally beautiful Espeon card with a low pull rate, and again, the fact that it's in Fusion Strike, well, helps the value, hinders how easy it is to pull, and that honestly does it, ladies and gentlemen. In at number 5, we've got another evolution. We've got Glaceon, which comes in at around about $120. And of all the ones on the list, this is the one to me, which is the most surprising, I think is fair to say. And it's not because Glaceon's not cool, but Glaceon isn't the real top tier evolution. It's not up there with something like an Umbreon. And playability-wise, sure, it prevents all damage from Pokemon VMAX, which is great, but it's not up there even remotely with some of the other cards on the list. I really do think here you're talking about the artwork. You've got an Eevee, you've got a Pikachu, and I really do think this is a purely artwork thing here. We're not talking about a hyper-playable card. We're not talking about the most popular of the evolutions. But I think the art alone here is what really pushes this up into the top tier of these kind of cards. In at number 4, we've got Leafeon VMAX, and this for me is the best one on the list. This is it for me. This is the one that I want. Now, it's a Hayaganosuke card, and you know by now, if you watch my videos semi-regularly, or hopefully regularly, I am loving what Hayaganosuke is doing with Pokemon TCG artwork lately. It's wonderful. It's also a very playable card. 2 energy, 60 damage, plus 60 more for each colourless energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. This is a legit deck, and I'm not talking about a proper job top tier deck or anything like that. I'm not saying it's winning every tournament, but I absolutely am saying that if you pay attention, follow the results over at PokeStats, etc., you will see that this is popping up on that list of winning decks here and there. You play it with Galar Mine from Rebel Clash, which increases the retreat cost of both active Pokemon, and that kind of does it, honestly. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff you play. We're not going through a whole deck list here. My point is, it's a playable card with wonderful artwork, and it's Leafeon, who is an evolution. That leads to a very good card. And maybe somewhat surprisingly, in at number 3, we've got Charizard. Although I will say there is a big jump here. There was $40 between Galarian Moltres V at 10th and Leafeon V Max in 4th. And there is a $50 jump from 3rd to 4th. A bigger jump than all of them so far put together. But the thing is, it's a Charizard. It's the one from Brilliant Stars. It's not a particularly playable card. I mean, it's the V, and there is a V star in the set. So the most this was ever going to be a conduit to the V star. Although, incidentally, the V star is not proving particularly playable either. I really like it, but it's just not seeing enough play, unfortunately. But it's a Charizard, and it really is as simple as that. This is a Charizard, and that is enough, ladies and gentlemen. That is enough. For what it's worth, Charizard V-Star, the Rainbow Rare version thereof, is pretty much in line with this, depending on when you look. It might be kind of $20 more, $20 less, etc., but it's pretty much around the same line. For me, I don't know how you can look at the Rainbow Rare V-Star and the Alternate Art V and not think there is a gigantic gulf artwork-wise. We all know these alternate arts are special. But yeah, Charizard V, it's not playable, but it is Charizard. $180 sounds about right. In at number 2, we've got Rayquaza VMAX from Evolving Skies. Now, this is only coming in about $190, so Charizard and Rayquaza may well end up flip-flopping as time goes by. For now, it is Rayquaza. And this was always a card that I expected to be a phenomenal card. There is a lot to love about this particular card. You've got an ability that lets you discard your hand and draw 3 cards. That's a draw ability, that's good. You've got an attack that can do limitless damage, especially when you combine it with something like a Flaffy. Everything was there. And yet it's just not proven to be a good card. It's not really seeing any play at all at the moment, which is genuinely a little bit sad. But it's still Rayquaza, and Rayquaza is great. Is it really on the level of Evolutions, Charizard, etc.? I mean, basically, yeah. The one thing you do have to point out is that comparing Charizard V to Rayquaza V Max is not necessarily fair, because remember that the pull rates for the Special Art V Maxes is quite a lot lower than the pull rate for the Special Art V. So it's much harder to pull the Rayquaza than the Charizard. With that borne in mind, it does very much even it out. But make no mistake about it, this Rayquaza is legit. And then finally we end up with number 1, it's Umbreon VMAX. And this is not even close. This is up at about $330 by my estimation. This is a huge jump. This is $140 above Rayquaza. To put that into context, the lowest one I told you about was the Arceus V, which is $60. The difference between Arceus V and Rayquaza V Max is $130. The difference between Rayquaza and Umbreon is $140. This is number 1 by a gigantic margin. And what we've got here is the perfect storm of a playable card, a hugely, ridiculously over-the-top popular Pokemon, and the fact that it's an Alternate Art V Max, and the pull rates for Alternate Art V Maxes are very, very, very low. And it really is as simple as that. You've got a horrendously hard to pull card which is Umbreon, which is one of the most just popular Pokemon ever. It's just absolute top tier. And then you've got this artwork, and everybody adores this artwork. Everyone is very much in agreement this is amazing art. Plus, of course, you add in the ability, which is gusting, which is huge, and we end up with a card which, not only is it number one, but it's huge difference number one. You know, number one by a mile, and frankly, it's probably not going to be unseated. I could absolutely see Rayquaza being jumped by Charizard. I could see Umbreon V jumping Galarian Moltres at the lower end of this list. I don't think anything's going to be Umbreon. Umbreon seems ingrained at number one for quite a while. Of course, we do get a new Charizard every couple of sets, so maybe we'll get a Charizard soon to unseat it. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think. I want to know which of these you've been able to pull. I want to know which are your favourites. And I want to know which of these that aren't on the list do you particularly love. And if I could give one that isn't from one of my favourite artists, because it's a bit predictable if I do, Greedent. Oh, that alternate art Greedent, ladies and gentlemen. That is a thing of absolute beauty. And shout out once again to the lovely listener who did send me one of these, just because they're a wonderful, wonderful person. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about all of this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWildsy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.